Good evening, Kent. And good evening to 57 city councillors. I can stand here now and say to you and declare with absolute certainty and conviction that we are the winners of the 2025 right across the length and breadth of England, and we should be very proud. I said in the early hours of the 5th of July last year, as I stood making my acceptance speech in Clacton, that I would professionalise and democratise the party. The leaps and bounds we've made in just over 9 months are totally extraordinary. We managed to field more candidates than even the Labour or Conservative parties in this election. We had full vetting. We've built over 400 branches. And you know, ever since I launched this campaign on the 28th of March in Birmingham, I've literally spent with the exception of Easter, 5 weeks on the road. And I've travelled to every single one of our county contests. I've met over 1,200 of our candidates that stood. And I tell you something, there is an optimism, there is an energy, there is a belief in this party. And the media can go on saying it's a protest party. And you could argue there's a lot to protest. But we are not a protest party. We are all walks of life, all religions, all backgrounds. Together and binds us, our belief in the country. And I've never seen such energy and such enthusiasm. Well, yesterday was quite a day for me. I spent 8 hours going around door knocking on behalf of Sarah Pochin. And when 10 o'clock came and the polls closed, little did we know the emotional roller coaster that Sarah would have to go through. But I'm pleased to say that on the recount, we increased our vote share by 50%. So there we are. We went from 4 to 6. It may be a small margin, but it is a huge victory, and we're thrilled to have Sarah on our team. Fantastic. Fantastic. We then went on with Dame Andrea, who you've seen on the stage this evening, not just winning the mayoralty of Greater Lincolnshire, but literally walking it, winning it by a country mile, and with it, a massive majority on Lincolnshire County Council. And on we went through the night. The former boxer, gold medal winner in the Olympics, has won the Hull and East Yorkshire mayoralty. Amazing wins. We have, as I speak, now total control over 9 councils, including...
This video is sponsored by Saily. Saily is a brand new eSIM service app. What it does is get you a local SIM card that you can use when you're traveling, so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a text back home. They've got eSIM plans in over 160 countries and 8 regions, so pretty much wherever you're going, they'll be able to make sure you're connected. So how does it work? Well, all you've got to do is hit our link in the description to download the app. It will work on iOS or Android. Buy a plan, you can choose the best time frame for you, and then just install the eSIM on your phone. When you land at your holiday destination, you can activate your plan instantly. Saily eSIMs only ever have to be installed once, so when you go on your next trip, you just buy a plan for a new country, turn that eSIM back on, and just like that, you could be watching the GB News YouTube channel. You can be connected anywhere you go, and you don't have to deal with patchy Wi-Fi in your hotels. So get sorted for your next trip by downloading Saily using the link in the description below, and if you use our code NEWS at checkout, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount on us.
What the British people will learn after last night is that if you vote reform, you get If you vote reform, you get... And that's the point. And actually, in the north of England and in future in this county, if you vote Conservative, you'll let Labour in. Because we have established ourselves in one day in the most seismic moment that English politics has ever seen. We have replaced, no question, we have replaced the Conservative Party. We are now the opposition. We are now the ones that will take on Keir Starmer. And it is in many ways, it is the death of two-party politics. We've lived with it since the end of the First World War. But over the course of the last couple of decades, they've frankly all become pretty much the same, haven't they? Pretty indistinguishable, starting off with, I think, Call Me Dave, who thought he could mimic Blair, and a Conservative Party out of touch with small business, out of touch with entrepreneurship, who in 14 years of government gave us a tax burden going up to the highest it had been since World War II. And of course, just down the road at Dover, stop the boats. Not a chance of them ever stopping the boats. They never meant it. They used it as a slogan. As they've cynically used the British public over mass migration, legal migration. Frankly, they have no morals, they have no principles, they have no scruples, and they haven't even, in those years, made a proper job. But I think that level of betrayal, we began to see the effects of it in the general election last year, but it certainly came true last night. And I genuinely think that this party that has been there for 200 years, governed this country for much of it, what has happened overnight will signal the hollowing out of the Conservative Party, more members leaving, more branches declining, and frankly, without councillors, no incentive to go out and campaign. This is the beginning of the end. It is the death of the Conservative Party. And do you know something? They deserve it. They did it to themselves. But having said that, it's not too rosy for Labour. I mean, what has happened? What has happened in Durham today is the equivalent of Kent, where we have won 63 council seats on Durham County Council, and the Labour majority has been reduced to just 4 seats. So we have been taking votes from Labour up north, votes from the Conservatives down south, votes from everybody across the country. And Labour, in 2021, it was a really low point for Keir Starmer. This set of elections produced horrendous results for Labour. He was on the verge of resigning. Pity he didn't. Should have done, absolutely. So we probably would have got somebody worse, you never know. But Labour are down by nearly 200 seats on that low water mark. And if you watch Sky News, in seat tallies, not a Sky News fan over there? More of a GB News fan? How did I guess? How did I guess? But on Sky News now, the Labour Party are there under others. And it couldn't happen to nicer people, could it? The assault on our family farmers, the attack on small business, the driving out of the country of many of our richest, most entrepreneurial and successful people, the attack on private schools, the attack on virtually everything. And we are a nation that is in economic decline, a nation that is in societal decline, a nation that is in cultural decline. But we know that with the right leadership and the right People's Army, and I'm looking at them, we know that what happened overnight is the first step to us going on and making history by winning the general election of 2029. And Now, journalists often ask you very difficult questions, and on the campaign trail, it was said, well, isn't the problem with your party that it's all a bit too blokish? In fact, one of the journalists asked me, did I have a woman problem? Well, I said, I've been having that problem all my life, you know. But the thought was that the party didn't have, at the top, elected female representation. But I want to say this to you. Sarah Pochin was not picked as the candidate to stand in the Runcorn and Helsby by-election because she was a woman. Dame Andrea Jenkins wasn't picked to stand in Greater Lincolnshire because she was a woman. Because we don't believe in dividing everybody up according to race or sex or religion. We believe in meritocracy. Judge people on what they are. Judge people on their conduct. But it just so happens that those two magnificent women have been elected. And before the fun begins, and before... I'm going to pretend not to have heard that one. Before the dancing begins, before the singing begins, I want the enduring final image of this massively successful campaign, of me to be on this stage with Sarah, with Andrea, and that'll be our sign-off. Our thanks to all of you for what you've achieved, and our big shot and image to the country. This is the new face of Reform UK.